Hello, everybody. My name is Raven. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Rainbow Veteran. And this is the Rainbow Veteran Podcast. Today, I'm going to be talking about July 14th, 2025, a big day of mixed bags of reactions and emotions and feelings about everything that is going on in America. I debated creating this episode, but it was kind of a continuation of the Unite for Vets, Unite for America episode because of everything that I took from that rally in DC. I brought back here in my hometown of Pittsburgh, and it's a continuation of that event ethos of how we continue to advocate, how we continue to fight against an administration that are affecting not only just us veterans negatively, but also our neighbors and our community. So with that, I do want to talk about the No Kings rally first, because I feel like that is the biggest thing I have information on to talk about, because, oh boy, the parade was a mess. Let's just say it that way. So first, let me go with the No Kings rally. So the No Kings rally has been a thing planned for months, since about the time of the parade's announcement, but pretty much got really its kickstart with the whole kind of attitude Trump has had this administration, where he's acting like a king. He wants the judges and the politicians and Americans to just fall in line with whatever he says. And sadly, MAGA is actually doing it and saying, like, "Hail King Trump." Literally, there was at one of the other protests, I feel like in Philly? I think it was Philly or something. I could be wrong on where it was. But I remember seeing a video of this guy following the march on one of the 2,000 locations across the country. Let's just first say that. And performing a Nazi salute and saying, "Hail Hitler, hail Trump." That's not a good look for you, MAGA. And if that doesn't tell you the kind of path MAGA as a cult has going down the road, I cannot, follow you guys, at all. I've had issues with MAGAs for years, but you guys have just increasingly gotten worse and worse over the years, even since the first administration. And you guys keep blindly following a man who does not have your best interests, other than echoes your hate at a governmental level. And that's the only way I can even have a minuscule thought of why some of these people follow them. And it's got to be the hate, right? So, and I'm not saying it's good. Fuck the hate. Fuck that shit. Fuck MAGA. And fuck Trump. I'm just going to say that plainly on this episode, because I've said it before. Fuck Trump. Fuck his administration, and fuck MAGA. All right? I don't fuck with y'all. Republicans, we've had differences of views. We have differences on ideas. As long as you don't fuck with human rights and people's right to be themselves, I don't give a fuck, right? That's all I care about, right? Is if you're not fucking with people, if you're like I said multiple times on the show, if you're just having a difference of opinion of policy and policy doesn't hurt people, I really could not give a fuck. And that's on both sides. That's Democrats and Republicans. If in the long term you're not fucking with people, making people's lives harder, I really couldn't care less, right? But MAGA's on the side of hate and trying to take us backwards as a nation, and I'm not going to fucking stand by on that. So, there was a lot of us vets at the Pittsburgh location. One of my friends, Angie, she spoke on Common Defense. Big shout out to Angie. She spoke out at that event and was really great. She pretty much echoed the thoughts I had a lot of what was going on. Just looking at the parade and what's going on with LA as veterans is really hard, right? Because the only time I feel like parades are warranted, right? They're celebrations of big example, West Point. when they finish their do they call them plebes in West Point too? I know they call them plebes in the Naval Academy, but well, I'll just say plebes because I can't remember. Like those first summer cadets when they first join West Point, they have to go through that like basically that basic training for West Point, right? They have a little march at the end of their basically I'm drawing a blank of it, but like their final task, like their graduating task to be like actual members of the military and actual members of West Point officially. They do that, and that's a little march that they do. That's fine. I'm not against that, right? I'm not against the military showing up for Memorial Day parades, Veterans Day parades, because those are, you know, the Army's birthday. I'm not against. It's how it happened and why it happened, and it also was a huge waste of time. But I'm getting ahead of myself, right? A lot of us don't like the parade, and a lot of us are against the $45 million amount that was taken, but we still have enlisted personnel living off of food stamps while they're in the military. Spouses having a hard time finding jobs because they got to take care of the kids because the daycares don't fucking like work properly or have anybody working there. Mold and issues with housing and the barracks. That $45 million could have gone to something way better. Now, West Point wanted to do a big military thing on their birthday. If, the Army said, hey, we're going to do it. No, it was an order from Trump. That's what it was. It was an egotistical order under the Trump administration that failed. And so that was a big thing that we saw as an issue because we knew that the parade was not being used for the Army, but an ego stroke for Trump because July 14th was also his birthday. Now a lot of people were saying like, oh, you're against the military parade. No, fuck it. Hoo-yah, Army. Or what is it? Hooah is what you guys say. I'll say hooah. But here's the thing. Army's the only one that got a parade. There's never been talks for Navy. There's never been talks for the Marines. The Navy and Marines' birthday is also, guess what? The 250th this year. Not even a whisper of it, right? Because if you're going to plan that and we're like, okay, cool. We're also planning, heads up, we're also planning for the Navy and the Marines. That would make a bit more sense, right? Still don't get why it was $45 million. Not 400, but $45 million. But still, no reason it should be like that. The militarization of the against protest, that was also really horrible. So I don't know if any of y'all know. I'd be surprised if you don't. Right now in LA, in the last few days, there's been protests against everything going on with ICE. And unfortunately, there's been a lot of documented escalation from the police and ICE's side. Basically, all of most of the protests is peaceful until they get to the part where the police are escalating and then people are also getting upset. There's been videos of cops breaking old Crown Victoria cop cars, which is weird to me. Because when's the last time you've seen a cop use a Crown Vic? They haven't been using Crown Vic since at least the early 2000s. It's the last time I saw one. So it's a little weird, right? There's been a lot of AI generated videos made of the protesters destroying cop cars, and that's also just feeding the flames for more of the people against the immigrants as fuel, even though it's really dumb because like it's very obvious that it's AI generated because like he steps on the back windshield and it just breaks like a bunch of bricks like a Minecraft. It's so fucking bad and so fucking stupid. I don't know if I told you all this, but like I'm no script today. I'm just talking completely off the top of my head. So if I say something stupid or sound stupid, this is, again, another episode where I'm not using a script to channel my thoughts. So I do apologize for that. But yeah, like, and here's the thing too, is we're seeing police shoot less than lethal rubber bullets. But the problem is they're shooting media. They shot a Australian reporter in the ankle where it should be how you're supposed to use those is the ricochet method, where you shoot the ground and it's supposed to ricochet up into the legs. That's to subdue whoever you're trying to subdue. That's the proper method. They have, even in BBC, you could see on the camera, guy looks, aims, shoots, hits a reporter square in the head, like in the middle of his forehead. That can cause like TBI real easy, if not worse. So yeah, these cops are escalating, which is unfortunate, and ICE is escalating, and everything was subdued at first after that first day, and then Trump activates the National Guard under Title 10, and so with that, and then Trump and Hegseth released the Marines to LA as well, which is really stupid because this is just going to be another Kent State situation. That's what we're all worried about, that because that happened, and the military had such a negative like perception based on that, right? Because like, yes, the military has done well with protecting people. When the states usually activate it, like with desegregation, that was a really good use of the military, and protecting people with that. So, but like then you're having this situation, like hell, 1992, Bush federalized the National Guard and did that shit with them, and that's been a black mark on the military's history as well. So as veterans, we're calling that out because under Title 10, most of the military is activated. If a governor activates the National Guard, that's Title 32 of U.S. Code, but since it's federalized by the president, that also makes the National Guard Title 10. So the National Guard and the Marines cannot detain or arrest people under the Pos Comitas Act. Now, there is a difference when it becomes federal buildings, because that's where they're set up, that's what they're guarding. If they enter a federal building, they technically can detain. That's a whole different bag of worms. But the issue is, you had a veteran trying to go to a VA appointment, a Marine Corps veteran trying to go to his VA appointment that the Guard and Marines are staying in, sleeping in the foyer, or the big entrance room, and he got detained for it. And so, yeah, he got released, but the fact that, hey, no notice that his appointment's been canceled. This is day 5 of vets having their appointments canceled, because that's where the Guard and Marine Corps from 27. I can't remember. I know they're from 29 Palms. I know that. But the Marine Corps regiment that's there and the National Guard unit, they're staying and sleeping in that fucking VA facility, either on the floor or in cots if they're lucky. Heck, all the Army personnel that was for the parade were sleeping in cots. So don't at me with that the parade was to honor the military, because we are not treating them properly at fucking all. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So that was another reason for the whole immigration issues and the militarization that Trump had, with the LA protests. So that was a whole issue, because LAPD doesn't want it. LA's mayor doesn't want it. Fucking California's governor, Gavin Newsom, doesn't want it. And right now, those National Guardsmen aren't getting paid. They are not getting their duty pay, I think is technically what it's for. I don't fucking know, Guardsmen. If someone's a National Guardsman or was one that's listening to this podcast, please tell me. Like, if I recall, they get duty pay when they're activated, but they're not getting that right now. There's been a lot of calls for those Marines and National Guardsmen that they're blowing up the ethics line right now. And you can tell they don't even want to be there. They're just like, look, we just have orders, but they're just sitting there and they're not even they're just like the screaming, everything. They're tired. They're not sleeping well. They're probably not getting fed well. And they're just sitting there and they're just doing their job essentially. And kudos on the Guardsmen because you guys are making the best of a shitty situation. As long as you guys aren't breaking the Paz Comitas Act and you're just standing there like you have been, I'm sorry that you guys have to go through this shit. And you shouldn't have to. That's why a lot of vets showed up for No Kings protest. The whole issue with the Qatar plane that was fucking illegal, that was not vetted by Congress or anything. So, yeah, that's bullshit. And just the myriad of the attempts that Donald Trump has made to try to break the Constitution. It's been horrible. And going after judges and everything for doing their job to make sure that, hey, these things that are unconstitutional are continuing. Let's put a pause on them until we figure out, hey, 100% is this constitutional or not? And they're going after judges when some of them are Reagan, Bush, and Trump appointed judges. But they're labeling them as liberal judges or activist judges so they can get around them and have the MAGA fucking cult go after these judges, right? Or they're saying they're rhinos, Republican in name only, when that's fucking MAGA. MAGA are rhinos. And I want you idiots to take a look at yourself and think about that. Because at this point, if you're MAGA after everything's going on, there's no way you are able to get redeemed. I'm sorry, but that's like someone who's had black grandkids still be racist as shit. There's just no redeeming that kind of person. So continuing with the protest, there's also just the cuts, the cuts to major programs that are affecting not just veterans, like the VA cuts, to the budget and to volunteers and to people's jobs and the quality of care. There was a video recently that a guy was at a doctor's appointment and it was just a wall-mounted computer screen with a camera. That was his doctor appointment. What the fuck are we doing, Collins? But also we're cutting things like Medicaid, Medicare, trying to get that pushed through. We're trying to hurt everyday Americans. And yet, we're also breaking due process at the same time with immigration. And it's been horrible. And he's acting like a king. He got hot mic'd, allegedly. I'm going to say allegedly because I couldn't see his face. He was facing away from the camera. But allegedly, Trump was hot mic'd, talking to someone I don't recognize. Talking about how this kind of looks like a Kim situation, referring to Kim Jong-un. And he's like, no, he's a great leader. He loves it. People go out to the parades and they stand, they wave, they cheer, they treat him well. That's what I want. The fuck you mean that's what you want? This is America. We do not have a king, we do not have a dictator, and we sure as shit don't have whatever Orange Cheeto is. He may be our president right now, but we're not letting him get whatever the fuck he wants, okay? He needs to stop breaking the law, stop trying to break the Constitution, and stop trying to hurt Americans in America. That was the point of the No Kings protest. And a lot of veterans came out in support of that protest. I was tabling the event with Common Defense, and I'm glad too because I wasn't in the crowd, so I was actually able to have my back with no people behind me because I can't do that, and I don't do crowds well, which is why I don't normally go to rallies. But I was talking to a bunch of veterans, trying to tell them what Common Defense does, and they were telling me stories about why they're there. There was some LGBT veterans who served during Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and they're scared that what he's doing with trans vets and service members is just going to end up happening to take Don't Ask, Don't Tell and making us go backwards on that, especially with the removal of Harvey Milk's name from a ship, who was a Navy veteran, mind you. There was some vets who were like, yeah, I served in, I've seen in videos, like, some talking, like, serving in World War II. They're like, I fought fascists in World War II, and I'm not going to let this country fall to it. The fact that we have World War II veterans calling Trump out for what he's doing just speaks volumes of it. And so the No Kings protest did great. Here in Pittsburgh, we're roughly estimating anywhere between 10,000 to 28,000 in Pittsburgh. Apparently, that was cut into two groups. But that's just Pittsburgh itself. It's not counting the Mount Lebanon, the Cranberry, Washington, like Pittsburgh itself. I can confidently say there was at least 7 to 10,000 people in the downtown Pittsburgh rally that I was at, and it ended up spilling so much that they had to extend to both directions roadblocks of the intersections because it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The whole event, so we had at least 2,000 No Kings rallies across the country, 2,000 cities across the world, across the country, sorry, that conservative side, 5 million people. That's just the United States. The more count estimation that they're looking at right now is about 12 million people. And that's going to affect the 3.5% rule, right? Because if we hit just above that 12 million people for that, that's going to cause change. Because the theory of the 3.5% rule is that if 3.5% of the population of America comes out, rallies against something, and actually says something is bad and tries to affect change, that change will go through. It's a theory. I have no evidence to back it up. It's just something I've been told because of the number of how close the amount of people showed up for No Kings rallies and protests. Now, keep in mind, this is also affecting other places in the world. You had rallies in England, Ireland, Germany. I think some either Norway or Sweden also had rallies. But the fact that there was rallies for No Kings on July 14th in England, where they have a king right now, but they're trying to make sure that we don't fall under this dictator king wannabe Doritos Locos taco ass motherfucker, speaks volumes to me. So I just want to say thank you everybody for the rallies across this beautiful country. You had thousands of people show up in Idaho. You can't get people in Idaho together like that for anything, not even presidential elections. I've never seen that many people in Idaho fucking ever. You had people in rural towns show up in the hundreds to thousands. And that's how you know you fucked up. It's because you have the rural communities coming out your ass. And I just want to say thank you. For the people who are listening that participated in the No Kings rallies or wanted to, but for whatever reason wasn't able to go, we're not blaming you. Just want you to know that. Keep this fire lit in you. Keep this fire in your heart. Continue to advocate for not only yourself, but your neighbors, your community, for our country. And continue to talk about this kind of stuff because the No Kings rally was just the start. Now, let's talk about that parade. That parade was a shit show. So we had a White House press correspondent. Wasn't Caroline Leavitt, someone under her, I think, said that there was 28,000 people showing up for the Army's 250th birthday. And the pictures, I'm going to tell you, make that number a fucking lie, first and foremost. Because the amount of people that were there, even with them being scattered, was about the same we had for Unite for Vets, if not less. You could have, maybe, I'll give you a gracious number, 10,000 people there. You could have that. I'll give you that. You didn't have that 2,800, sorry. Edit. You didn't have that 280,000 that you said, though. Because there was sure shit no way that was there. Between the photos, the drone footage, the ground level footage, there was no way. You can see just the sidelines with the parade watching and people watching. It was a fucking ghost town. I had more people show up for the Memorial Day parade here in my little suburb area of Pittsburgh, okay? There was more freaking people in the streets here than there were watching the parade. And that parade was quiet. Dead silent. So bad that you could hear the treads of the tanks as they rolled on through. That's how dead quiet it was. Also, the soldiers marching. I watch clips of it because I'm like, you know what? It's still Army's 250th. I don't want to be the numbers of the live. So I'm going out in the rally today, and I don't want to feed Trump's ego, right? So I watch clips of it as after fact. And I'm not saying that the soldiers were being maliciously compliant because of any political affiliation or views or everything. I'm not going to say that because I don't know that. However, what I am going to say is that parade had the epitome of E4 Mafia energy. You could tell most of them did not want to be there. Not marching in step, basically walking. It was like when you first learned to drill in basic. That's how bad it was, right? It was bad. It was, I don't want to be here, but I got orders to be here kind of bad, okay? And honestly, I don't fucking blame them. It's hot, it's humid, it's muggy. You're sleeping on a cot for basically no extra pay and just having a rough time altogether. I don't blame them for having that sham shield over their hearts right now. Even if they never made it to E4, even if they're well above E4, that sham shield for the Army was just blanketed across. Except for the marching band. You guys you performed like you always perform, top notch, but that's also marching band. I've never seen a marching band half-ass it, okay? You had in San Francisco the No Kings rally where people gathered up and coordinated to spell out No Kings and then spin the American flag around. That had more coordination than the Army's parade. And this is also another thing that makes us really question the $45 million bill, because no-name performers pretty much playing music from some performers like Lizzo, who I don't know if she's MAGA. I've never heard anything about her supporting Trump ever. But you could definitely tell they were playing it, like they bought the rights to the song. Most of it was just generic rock music. And a lot of D-list performers, if that. And the whole event was sponsored by cryptocurrency groups and this weird Trump themed energy drink. It was really weird, okay? So the parade is a shit show, and all of us vets, I've talked to a lot of vets, I've seen videos of vets talking about it. The whole fucking thing was just a shit show. And I feel bad because I'm going to talk about the Army's 250th birthday. I feel really bad for you guys this year. We know that you should have gotten a parade that y'all deserved. Did it have to be as big and expensive as what Trump wanted? No. Now, could we have taken that whole bill and divide it? Probably. We could have divided it in thirds. At least half. For what they did there, could have easily divided it in half. For another branch. That being said, Army, I'm not upset with you. I am not upset with you. My mom, my biological father, my stepdad at one point was all Army. I'm an Army brat. And that's fine. I feel so bad for you because this could have been a better event for you guys. But we all could see what Trump was doing. It was an ego boost for himself. And like I said, we're not getting parades for Navy or Marines. It's just the one that happens to fall on his birthday. And you could tell he was sad. You could see it in his face. He was very upset that no one came to his birthday party. He was a little sad boy. But, you know, if you guys did something that was like the West Point Academy, if you guys did something around where your basic training locations are, you know, we wouldn't have batted an eye. But it's very obvious that Trump was using you guys as a ploy. And I feel bad for that because like I think you guys should get a break. I think the 250th anniversary of any of the military branches is a huge achievement. And I feel like you guys deserve a parade. Not for a man's ego, but for the history that was there. And that's the thing that really upsets me. Because if you guys did it around basic, hell, if you guys did it yourselves and just, you know, Army came out, hey, we're going to have a parade to celebrate the Army's 250th anniversary, or just did some event like Fleet Week, for example. I'm more familiar with Fleet Week or Air Force aviation shows because of where I grew up and being Navy. Like, that's more my bread and butter. So, like, if Army did something similar, nobody would have fucking batted an eye. But it was Trump saying, we're gonna have a beautiful military parade on the 14th. And then when people started questioning it, it's for the Army, it's not for me, it's for the Army. Yeah, okay. Now, Navy does have Fleet Week. Marines do too. They join us along with the Coast Guard. But I will say, we should definitely do something big for the 250th for Navy and the Marines as well. Marines, what I would like to see for you guys, because I want to talk about this before I wrap up this episode. There's been, I can't even confirm it because I haven't talked to anybody about it, but there's been rumor, allegedly, that Tuft Tavern, where you guys were born, where the Marine Corps was born, is getting rebuilt. That'd be awesome to have for your 250th, wouldn't it? I feel like have that and have big head faces of the Marine Corps there, big veterans, Medal of Honor recipients, and fuck, though, does the Marine Corps have a lot of Medal of Honor recipients? I think that'd be great for your guys' 250th. You could have a parade in Philadelphia, and I think that'd be great. That'd be awesome, right? Just whatever the shit show was in DC was not it. And nobody was feeling it. Nobody. And this July 14th is going to go down in history. That's why I'm titling this episode as just the date. Because it was Flag Day. No honor of Flag Day. I did it here at home. And myself. My little town has flags up and down the streets where they do for like big holidays. That celebrate America. And I honored the flag that we have at the VFW in my town. My little suburb of Pittsburgh. I had friends that were still in the Army that I grew up with. I have family that are in the Army. I gave a little toast to them, to the Army. That's how I celebrated the 250th, because I was never Army. But that shit show of parade was not it. And that's a divisive pull, because some people were like, oh, you're dishonoring the military. No. When is the last time we really loved doing a dog and pony show? Because that's what it fucking was. It was a dog and pony show. And you can hate Army all you want, thinking, oh, it's just Navy. She hates Army. No, I love Army. Again, I'm an Army brat. Navy's got the better football team, and I'll die on that hill. But that is just a competitive nature. That's like me and my brother trying to be better at, like, Guitar Hero. That's all that fucking is. I don't hate Army. I love all my Army family. I love Army. Hell, I grew up near Fort fucking Eustis in Virginia, okay? That was the base I kept going to when I was younger. I shopped at that commissary for years with my grandparents. I could never hate the Army. And with that, I'm going to conclude this episode with just keep an eye out for everybody. Make sure you're safe. Make sure your neighbors are safe. And don't let any head of government or form of government try to take us down this path that this current administration is going. The path of no return that breaks our Constitution. It tries to pin the military against civilians. It tries to make whatever a wannabe dictator wants, even if that means breaking our Constitution. We cannot go down that path. And I hope this is just growing pains for us to actually continue and grow as a nation, and hopefully make this nation better. We cannot let this nation stare down the barrel of fascism, authoritarianism. So as always, everybody, stay safe, stay vigilant, stay hydrated. I'll see you all next week.